And what most leaders and managers tell us is, look, I'm getting squeezed from both sides. I don't have time to hold everybody's hand. And nowadays, you just try to hold their hand, and they push back every step of the way. Whatever. Or, don't tell me how to do my job. Well, gosh, I'm your boss. I'm pretty sure my job is to tell you how to do your job. Don't micromanage me. No, I'm just plain managing you. Good news, we're going to pay you. If this were an amusement park, we'd have a line outside the door and we'd be selling tickets. This is what leaders and managers tell us. That the workplace is becoming more and more high pressure, everybody's getting squeezed, but the workforce is becoming more and more high maintenance, and that makes it a lot harder to manage people. So let me ask you, you're all standing here, you're out in the real world. Am I making this up? How many people are experiencing a lower pressure work environment than you were, say, a couple years ago? Anybody under less pressure than you were? Raise your hand if you're under less pressure. How about any votes? How about the workforce? Anyone here think that the workforce is not becoming more high maintenance? Any votes for no, they're just fine. Right, so let me put it to you, as I have put it to leaders and managers in this industry many times. High pressure workplace, high maintenance workforce. Do you suppose that calls for weak, hands-off leadership or strong, highly engaged leadership? Any votes for weak and hands-off? Any votes for weak and hands-off? You say, no, strong, highly engaged. Hands-on. But what if I followed you around in the real world? What would I find? See, what we find is most leaders and managers agree, yes, strong and highly engaged leadership is the way to go. But me, I'm hands-off. That's how I do it. That's my style. Right? So I say to you, how do you do it? Oh, I'm hands-off. My people expect it from me. My people know they'll hear from me if something goes wrong. By the way, if you've ever said that, my people know they'll hear from me if something goes wrong, that's bad news leadership. It means every time they see you coming, it's bad news. Every time they see you coming, it's bad news. Unless you manage people before anything goes right, wrong, or average every single day. Weak and hands-off leadership is too much the norm in the business world. And in restaurant industry in particular, everywhere I go, I see leaders and managers are too hands-off. Hands-off, hands-off, hands-off. Now, if I asked you, hands-off or hands-on, you say hands-on. Weak or strong, you say strong. So why are so many leaders and managers in the real world so hands-off? Here's what leaders and managers in your industry tell me. If I interviewed you, if I took you aside and said, why? Why aren't you stronger and more highly engaged? Here's probably what you would say. Well, I think you're right. Roll up your sleeves, strong, highly engaged leadership, that's the way to go. But I got a lot to do. Every single day, I don't have time. I'm running around like crazy, putting out fires. I have too many things to do. I have too many of my own tasks and responsibilities to do, and I don't have enough time to guide and direct and support people. And you know what? I'm good at the restaurant thing. I know how to run a restaurant. This is my thing. But maybe I'm not a natural leader. Maybe the interactions with people, maybe that's not what I'm great at. And anyway, you really roll up your sleeves and get in there and try to manage people, and pretty soon you're going to hear from the HR police. The HR police are going to come tie up your hands in red tape and tell you all the things you're not supposed to do. And I don't want to have difficult confrontations in my restaurant. I'm busy. And I need to have a collegial environment. If I roll up my sleeves and really start managing people in a strong, highly engaged way, I might have some difficult confrontations to deal with. And I don't need that. And I try to have a collegial environment. I don't want my people to think I'm a jerk. I want my people to like me. I'm in this industry for a reason. I'm a people. I want people to like me. We want to have a collegial environment in our restaurant. And anyway, you really roll up your sleeves and get in there and start managing people, and you figure out pretty soon what works with Mr. Blue doesn't always work with Mr. Red. What works with Ms. Green doesn't always work with Ms. Purple. And pretty soon, you got Mr. Blue saying, you're picking on me, and you're favoring red again. I don't need that. So I try to treat everybody the same. And anyway, I shouldn't be micromanaging people. I shouldn't have to hold their hand. I thought we were supposed to empower people. And those are the 7 great myths that prevent managers in the real world from being strong and highly engaged. This is what managers tell us every single day at all levels. And those are the 7 great myths that prevent real leaders and managers from being strong in this high-maintenance, high-pressure environment. The number one myth, here's the number one myth that prevents managers from being strong. We call it the myth of empowerment. And here's the myth of empowerment. It goes like this, that somehow the way to empower people is to leave them alone to manage themselves. That somehow, if you leave people alone to manage themselves, then they'll do their best work. But that only is true on that planet where everyone gets trophy. Here on planet Earth, most people do their best work when they have guidance, direction, support, and coaching from a more experienced person. Sink or swim is not empowerment, it's negligence. Reinvent the wheel is not empowerment, it's negligence. Hey, do it however you think it should be done, even though it's not up to you, is not empowerment, it's negligence. Real empowerment takes hard work. And the number one myth that prevents managers from being strong in today's environment is the myth of empowerment. And there are real consequences to undermanagement. Undermanagement is an epidemic throughout the working world, but it hides below the radar. I bet if I came into any one of your restaurants, I would find undermanagement hiding below the radar. Leaders and managers not doing enough leading and managing. There are real consequences.